It is more like the surface of Mars than Earth. But geology is a time machine, and the sedimentary rock layers beneath your feet are hiding a wet and bloody secret. Turn back the clock 12 million years to the Miocene epoch. Erase this desert. In its place is a vast, dark and surging sea. This was no ordinary sea. This was the richest, yet most dangerous place in the ancient ocean. Paleontologists call the Pisco Formation a monster graveyard. For decades, they have unearthed countless bones here. Giant penguins, sea sloths, and thousands of sharks. But in 2008, a shocking discovery completely changed the picture of this ecosystem. Klaas Post, a researcher from the Rotterdam Natural History Museum, happened to discover a massive skull protruding from the sand. It was 3 meters long. Initially, they thought it was a giant baleen whale, but as they cleaned away the rock, they were stunned. This animal had teeth, and not small teeth for catching squid like modern sperm whales. These were thick, conical blocks of ivory, as large as 2-liter water bottles. The largest was 36 centimeters long and 12 centimeters in diameter. To give you a sense of scale, these are the largest predatory teeth ever found in Earth's history. They are larger than the teeth of a T-Rex, larger than those of a Giganotosaurus, and certainly larger than those of any shark. Scientists realized they were looking at a previously unknown species of monster. They needed a name worthy of the terror it inspired. They named it Livyatan melvillei. Livyatan is taken from the name of the biblical sea monster Livyatan. Melvillei is to honor Herman Melville, the author of the novel Moby Dick. A perfect name. A monster stepped out of myth and literature, but made of flesh and bone. However, the appearance of Livyatan creates a major problem in our understanding of the Miocene Ocean. A problem that the scientific community calls the apex paradox. In nature, each ecosystem usually has only one absolute ruler. On the African savanna, the lion is king. In the Indian jungle, the tiger is lord. In Cretaceous North America, T-Rex had no rival. The throne never has 2 seats. But the rock layers at Pisco show that at the same time Livyatan was swimming here, another giant was also patrolling these waters. That was Otodus Megalodon, a 50-ton super shark, the one we once thought was the sole ruler of the ocean at that time. Fossils of both species were found in the same sedimentary layer at the same location. This means that 12 million years ago, the Peruvian Sea was the only place on Earth where 2 super predators of equivalent size and power coexisted. This was not a peaceful coexistence. This was a Cold War. 2 superpowers, 1 food source, and a limited sea. How did the Megalodon, nature's perfect killing machine, accept sharing its territory with a whale? Or in reality, were they hunting each other? To answer that question, we cannot just look at the teeth. We must look at the banquet that nature laid out for them. Why did they become so massive? Gigantic size is never a coincidence. In nature, maintaining a 50-ton body requires an insane amount of energy. You cannot feed a megalodon with sardines. You also cannot sustain a Livyatan on tiny shrimp. To create giant monsters, you need a massive food source. During the Miocene epoch, Earth was undergoing a period of dramatic climate change. The planet was gradually cooling. The Antarctic ice caps were expanding, changing the ocean currents. This change triggered an important geological phenomenon called upwelling. Along the coast of Peru, where the Pisco Desert is today, strong winds blew surface waters offshore, pulling nutrient-rich cold water from the depths to rise and replace it. This water current was like a growth stimulant for the ocean. It nourished billions of tons of plankton. Plankton fed small fish. Small fish fed big fish. And most importantly, it created a boom in the whale population. This was the golden age of medium-sized baleen whales, exemplified by Cetotherium. They were smaller than today's blue whales, only about 4 to 6 meters long, slow swimming and gentle. But they had one thing that every predator craves: blubber. To survive in the increasingly cold waters of the Miocene, whales were forced to evolve a thick layer of blubber to retain heat. Biologically, whale blubber is the most concentrated source of energy in nature. Acetotherium was not just a prey animal, it was a giant biological battery containing millions of calories. The overwhelming presence of these mobile batteries triggered the most brutal evolutionary arms race in ocean history. The rule was simple. When prey becomes large and nutrient-rich, predators must increase in size to take them down. The ancestors of Megalodon began to bulk up. From 6-meter-long sharks, they evolved into 15-meter giants capable of biting through thick blubber and crushing whale ribs. But the race did not stop at sharks. A branch of toothed whales, Odontocites, the ancestors of sperm whales, also joined this feast. Instead of eating squid like their relatives, this group decided, why dive deep for squid when there are thousands of fat whales swimming right on the surface? And thus, Livyatan was born. It didn't evolve to eat microorganisms. It evolved to eat other whales. It developed a body size comparable to Megalodon to compete. It developed massive jaws to tear other whales apart. Imagine the Miocene seas like a chessboard, but the pawns all weigh 5 tons and the queens and kings all weigh 50 tons. The nutrient-rich environment removed size limits. But it also created a deadly paradox. To survive, you must be a giant. But as a giant, you are forced to eat constantly. Both Megalodon and Livyatan were locked in a life-and-death loop. Eat or starve. And when food was abundant, they could ignore each other. But when a whale was injured, or when food sources were scarce, the line between predator and competitor would blur. We have the stage. We have the motive. Now it is time to dissect the weapons of each gladiator. Let's start with the one whose name is synonymous with fear. The most perfect killing machine that nature ever designed. Megalodon. When mentioning Megalodon, pop culture often injects a false image into our heads. A great white shark magnified 3 times. But modern science says, no, that is an insulting comparison to Megalodon. Based on genealogical tree analyses and fossil vertebrae, Megalodon belongs to a completely different family, the Ottodontidae family, the mega-toothed sharks. If the great white is a sports car, sleek and agile, then Megalodon is an armored bulldozer. Its body was not gracefully elongated. It was stocky, thick-set, and extremely muscular. With an estimated length of 15 to 18 meters and a weight of up to 50 tons, Megalodon weighed 20 times more than today's largest great white shark. To keep that massive muscle mass operational, it needed a constant source of fuel. And to refuel, it needed the most powerful food processing toolkit in Earth's history. Look at its mouth. Megalodon's jaws opened up to 2.7 meters in height and 3.4 meters in width, wide enough to swallow two adult men standing side by side without even touching the teeth. But it didn't swallow prey whole like a blue whale. It tore them apart. The latest computer simulations show Megalodon's bite force ranged from 40,000 to 108,000 psi. For comparison, a lion bites with a force of 650 pounds per square inch. The saltwater crocodile, the current champion, bites with a force of 3,700 pounds per square inch. Megalodon bit with a force 10 times stronger than that of the strongest predator today. With that compression force, a whale's skull was no longer bone. It was as soft as a grape. Megalodon didn't need to find weak spots on its prey's body. Wherever it bit became a weak spot. But bite force was only half the story. The other half lay in the design of its teeth. Megalodon's teeth were not needle-sharp to snag slippery prey like fish-eating species. Its teeth were triangular, broad, and thick. Most importantly, both edges of the teeth had an extremely fine serrated structure, just like a steak knife. This design served a single purpose: cutting flesh and sawing bone. When Megalodon bit and shook its head from side to side, these teeth acted like a meat-powered chainsaw. It sliced through thick blubber, tendons, muscle, and even hard bone. We know this not from speculation. We know it thanks to forensic evidence. Throughout the world, from Peru to North America, scientists have found countless vertebrae and ribs of ancient whale species, such as Cetotherium or Piscobalaena. Deeply etched into those fossilized bones are parallel scratches, the unmistakable signature mark of Megalodon's serrated teeth. Many whale rib samples were even severed completely, proving the terrifying bite force that pierced through the rib cage. From these wounds, scientists have reconstructed Megalodon's brutal hunting tactics. Unlike today's great white sharks, which often attack the soft bellies of seals, Megalodon chose a more violent solution: the disabling strike. Facing small but agile whales, Megalodon used explosive speed to ram straight into the prey's ribcage. A ram from a 50-ton object moving at high speed was enough to instantly crush the victim's heart, lungs, and spine. If the prey was too large, Megalodon would aim for the propulsion system. It would crush the tail fluke or flippers. Once the whale lost its ability to move, it was nothing more than a floating mass of meat. Megalodon would leisurely enjoy its meal without fear of resistance. However, this perfection came with a heavy price. Megalodon was not a completely cold-blooded animal like other fish species. Oxygen isotope studies in tooth enamel show that Megalodon was capable of regional endothermy, also known as mesothermy. It could keep its body temperature, especially the stomach and eyes, warmer than the surrounding seawater. This allowed it to swim faster, hunt more effectively in cold waters, and digest food at high speeds. It was a biological Ferrari. But like every supercar, it drank gas like water. Megalodon's metabolic needs were terrifyingly high. An adult Megalodon needed to consume nearly 100,000 calories a day, equivalent to eating a large dolphin every single day, without rest. It was trapped in a perpetual loop. Hunt, eat, hunt. Hunger was the motivation, but also its fatal weakness. If the food source fluctuated, Megalodon would be the first to suffer. And unfortunately for Megalodon, in the Pisco Seas 12 million years ago, it was not the only one that was hungry. Another opponent was also scouring these hunting grounds. One who did not possess a bite force as strong as Megalodon, but possessed a weapon the shark could never have. A brain capable of tactical thinking. It is time to flip the ocean's second card. Welcome, Livyatan. If you think Megalodon is scary, it is because you fear what you see, a giant mouth full of teeth. But Livyatan melvillei represents a different kind of fear. The fear of an enemy smarter than you, who sees you in the dark and never hunts alone. To understand Livyatan, you must first forget the image of today's sperm whales. Modern sperm whales are gentle giants, diving thousands of meters deep to suction feed on squid. Their skulls have regressed. The teeth in the upper jaw have vanished, while those in the lower jaw are small and weak. Livyatan is the warfare version of this lineage. It is an ancestor from a time before whales learned to bow their heads. The first weapon, the jaws of the devil. Unlike its modern descendants, Livyatan possessed a full set of teeth in both the upper and lower jaws, 40 teeth in total. But these were not teeth for chewing. These were boat-mooring bollards made of enamel and ivory. As mentioned in the introduction, the largest tooth was 36 centimeters long and 12 centimeters in diameter. This is an absolute record in the animal kingdom. Let's compare the mechanics. Megalodon teeth are flat and sharp like knives, used for slicing through flesh. Livyatan teeth are conical, massive, and incredibly sturdy, like rivets, used to pierce and hold fast. This structure shows that Livyatan hunted in a completely different style. It did not strike quickly and then retreat to wait for the prey to bleed out like Megalodon. It lunged in, sank those 40 giant teeth deep into its opponent's body, locked onto the target, and used massive muscle power to drag the prey into the depths or crush it. With an estimated length of 13.5 to 17.5 meters, comparable to Megalodon, Livyatan was powerful enough to go head-to-head with any creature. But physical strength was only the outer shell. Livyatan's true weapon lay hidden deep inside its massive, box-shaped head, which accounted for a third of its body length. The second weapon, biological sonar, echolocation. Inside Livyatan's skull, there is a massive basin-shaped structure, the supracranial basin. In life, this basin was filled with a liquid waxy oil called spermaceti. This was not reserve fat. It was a natural acoustic lens. Livyatan generated sounds from a system of monkey lips near its blowhole, which were transmitted through the waxy mass to be amplified and focused into a powerful beam of sound waves fired forward. When the sound waves hit an object, they bounced back, entered the lower jaw, and traveled to the inner ear. In water, sound travels 4 times faster than it does in air. This sonar system allowed Livyatan to see the world in a way Megalodon could never have imagined. Megalodon relied on its sense of smell, the scent of blood, and electroreceptive organs, ampullae of Lorenzini, to detect prey at close to medium range. But Livyatan's sonar operates like long-range radar. It can detect another whale or a megalodon from kilometers away, even in murky waters or the pitch black of night. Furthermore, sound waves don't just bounce off the surface of the skin. They penetrate through the flesh and bounce off the bone. This means Livyatan doesn't just know something is there. It knows the exact internal structure of its opponent. It sees the cartilaginous skeleton of the Megalodon. It knows where the weak points are. In a battle, whoever detects the opponent first holds a 90% chance of victory. And in the Miocene Ocean, Livyatan was always the one who saw first. The third weapon, intelligence and the pod. This is the part we must infer based on the behavior of modern relatives, phylogenetic bracketing. But the level of reliability is very high. Today's sperm whales and killer whales, orcas, are both highly social animals. They live in families, pods, often led by the oldest female, matriarchy. They have their own language, coda, know how to teach their young how to hunt, and most importantly, know how to coordinate combat. The brain-to-body mass ratio, EQ, of toothed whales is much larger than that of sharks. If Megalodon was a lone tank operating on primitive hunting instincts, then Livyatan was a platoon of special forces with radio communication. Imagine this scenario. Megalodon hunts alone. It is the king of one-on-one duels. But Livyatan never travels alone. When encountering an enemy, they can communicate and evade the formation. One attracts attention, while others attack from the blind spot. Intelligence allows them not only to react to the prey's actions, but also to anticipate them. Some researchers even hypothesize a second function for the spermaceti organ. Due to its massive and solid skull structure, it is possible that Livyatan used its head like a sledgehammer. In fights for mates or against enemies, a high-speed ram from a multi-ton head filled with non-compressible fluid could create a horrific impact force. If this hypothesis is correct, Livyatan didn't just bite. It could shatter an opponent's internal organs with its own skull. In short, Livyatan melvillei is the perfect combination of a Tyrannosaurus rex's muscular power and a mammal's intelligence. It has the size of Megalodon. It has teeth more terrifying than Megalodon. It has long-range radar. And it has teammates. Megalodon dominated the ocean for 10 million years before Livyatan appeared. But when this whale entered the stage, the balance of power shifted. The Miocene ocean suddenly became crowded. Two kings could not sit on the same throne. And when conflict broke out, it was not just a battle between two animals. It was a great war between two evolutionary branches, cartilage versus bone, instinct versus intelligence, shark versus whale. What happens when two trains collide in the middle of the ocean? In nature, apex predators usually avoid confronting each other. A tiger will not actively hunt a bear unless it is backed into a corner. Why? Because the price of victory is too high. A broken leg, an infected wound, all signify slow death. But in the Pisco seas, 12 million years ago, Megalodon and Livyatan had no choice but to face each other. This ecosystem was a high-density trap. Both species converged here to breed and raise their young. To a Megalodon, juvenile Livyatans, about 5 to 6 meters long, were perfect, soft, and defenseless protein packages. To an adult Livyatan, Megalodon was a direct threat to the survival of the lineage. Conflict was inevitable. So, when two 50-ton giants collide, what happens? Science cannot provide slow-motion footage, but biomechanics can tell us the most likely scenario. Megalodon is the first to attack. That is a shark's instinct. It cannot confront the Livyatan's jaws head-on, where the opponent's strongest weapons are concentrated. Megalodon's greatest advantage is its ability to camouflage in the deep. Its dark gray back blends into the shadows of the abyss, counter-shading. It will stalk a stray or elderly Livyatan. It dives deep below into the blind zone that a whale's eyes cannot see. Even though Livyatan has sonar, the sonar focuses on scanning ahead and around. The area directly beneath the belly is always a weak point. Megalodon activates an explosive burst of speed. Its giant tail thrashes powerfully, propelling its 50-ton body upward like a ballistic missile. The target is not the head. The target is the tail fin or the belly. Megalodon's first bite is decisive. With bone-crushing force, it aims to cut off the whale's engine. If the tail is severed, Livyatan loses its mobility. The battle ends before it even begins. But Livyatan was not a passive baleen whale. It was a warrior. If the Megalodon's bite missed its vital target, or if Livyatan's sonar detected the change in water pressure just before impact, the whale would counterattack. This is when the difference in skeletal structure decided the outcome. Megalodon is a cartilaginous fish. Its skeleton is flexible but softer than true bone. Livyatan is a mammal. Its skeleton is hard, especially its massive 3-meter-long skull. Livyatan could perform a move that sharks never could, rotating its body axis flexibly. It turns its head to face the enemy. At this moment, its wax-filled head transforms into a terrifying blunt weapon, the ram. Imagine a multi-ton block of reinforced concrete slamming into the side of a car. If Livyatan rammed directly into Megalodon's gills or soft underbelly, the impact force would cause severe internal trauma. The shark's cartilage could be shattered, gills torn, or the liver, the largest organ in a shark's belly, crushed. A precise ram could kill a Megalodon instantly due to internal shock. If the fight turned into close-quarters combat, Livyatan would resort to its jaws equipped with 40 peg-like teeth. Megalodon bites to cut flesh, serrated teeth. Livyatan bites to break. If Livyatan managed to bite the Megalodon's pectoral fin, it would perform a death roll similar to modern-day crocodiles or killer whales. With the superior size and muscular strength of a mammal, it could rip the shark's pectoral fin clean off. A shark that loses its pectoral fin loses its ability to balance. It would be flipped over, falling into a state of temporary paralysis, tonic immobility, and become a punching bag for the whale to tear apart. However, the most terrifying scenario for Megalodon was not a one-on-one duel. It was when it realized the Livyatan it attacked was not alone. The whale's distress call travels very far underwater. Within minutes, Megalodon could find itself surrounded by 3, 4, or 5 adult Livyatans. At this point, the positions are completely reversed. We can see this tactic in orcas today when hunting great white sharks. They coordinate, corner, and attack continuously from multiple sides. One Livyatan acts as a distraction. Another rams from the flank. A third bites the tail. Megalodon, no matter how strong, cannot defend itself from 360 degrees. It would be literally torn to pieces.